an update. Mr. Alston is near the Brook House and he's on his way and he's asking for an open session.
Mr. Alston has to be here to ask.
So he's on his way.
This meeting was noticed for 8:30. And
He's on his way.
Some of us have jobs
Council here?
that we have to go to.
So
We made this at 8:30 in the morning, it was very difficult for
Okay.
people to come. And I don't think that was done casually, I think that was done deliberately. We are watching you, I just think you should know that you are being watched, what you are doing, and we are expecting you to act with justice for us. You work for the town of Brookline, not for yourselves. Thank you. Hey.
Okay, I see Mr. Alston is here, so I'll repeat what I said at the beginning. This is a meeting for the purpose of discussing the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of, or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. Such a meeting is presumptively within the executive session exemption to the open meeting law. That statute, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A1, specifically provides that a public body shall hold an open session if the individual involved requests that the session be open. Notice of this meeting was given for 8:30. It's now 8:45. Mr. Alston, before the board votes to go into executive session, do you wish that the session be open?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. The individual involved in the matter that's subject to this meeting has requested that the session be open. The board will conduct its meeting in open session. The board will provide Mr. Alston with the rights provided within executive session, within the executive session provision of Section 21A1, including the right to have counsel or a representative of his own choosing present and attending for the purpose of advising the individual and not for the purpose of active participation in the hearing and to speak on his own behalf. The sole purpose of this meeting is to consider action on a report filed by the hearing officer appointed pursuant to the Civil Service Statute, General Law, Chapter 31, Section 41.
Who appointed the hearing officer?
We have asked Labor
Who
Council.
appointed the hearing officer?
You're out of order.
But who did?
We have asked Labor Counsel Robert Hillman to present the report of the hearing officer to the board. At the conclusion of that presentation, Mr. Alston, and only Mr. Alston, will have the opportunity to speak on his own behalf to the board. Following that presentation and Mr. Alston's statement, if he chooses to make one, the chair will consider a motion to act on the report. Mr. Hillman.
Mr. Chairman, I
think you're gonna need to go to this.
I will. I just one point of procedural
Yes,
order.
please.
Before proceeding with the hearing in open session,
With the meeting in open
the
session.
meeting in open session, it would be appropriate to advise Mr. Alston that by proceeding with this matter in open session, it may cause the report of the
I think that's what's up. Mr. Alston has been advised of all of his rights. He is an
Okay.
adult.
Mr. Ames,
He
you're
out of
doesn't need to
order.
be advised again.
Mr. Ames, you
Please
have no
sit down.
standing here.
He
You have
does
no
to
right
us.
to address this
He
board.
does to us.
If
You have no right to speak to me.
If Mr.
what
Alston
was
is
that?
satisfied that he is, understands that the personnel, medical and psychological, information, which is, generally presumed to be private, may become a public record as a result of open session, I will proceed.
This is a
That's a
threat that
threat.
is happening
That's a
all
threat.
along. And this is part of the
Please
punishment
proceed.
that you
Thank
have
you, Mr. Nolan.
gone, put him through.
The, thank you, members of the board. As you are aware, this is a meeting that is, arises under the Civil Service Statute of the Commonwealth, Chapter 31, Section 41. Before I discuss the report of the hearing officer who is appointed in this matter, I think it's important to understand procedurally where we are and what you're called upon to do today. Under the civil service law, the town gave a notice of intent to Mr. Alston, potential termination for his non-attendance at work on the grounds of what the town believed to be his incapacity to perform the essential functions of his job. That, under the civil service law, triggers a right to a hearing before the appointing authority. For firefighters in the town of Brookline,
Under
the
the
board
law,
of
we all should be protected.
the Board of Selectmen is the appointing authority, and as the appointing authority, it has the right to delegate the hearing to a hearing officer. Under the special act establishing the office of the town administrator, the legislature gave that authority to the town administrator, who appointed James Lampke, an attorney in Hingham, Massachusetts, with experience in public labor law, as the hearing officer to conduct a hearing on your behalf.
Municipal Association.
We do not,
The,
we do not interrupt our speakers, the board of selectmen.
thank you. The hearing was duly noticed by a notice that's in the record dated August 17, 2016, and the hearing was conducted on August 30th, 2016. Mr. Alston elected to have that hearing conducted privately, as was his right. He was present and represented by counsel at the hearing. Mr. Lampke took evidence from the
Mr.
town,
Lampke was
and the,
also-
I am asking that
He was-
speakers
he was
will not be
filed
interrupted.
against For discrimination.
You are not
That is the
recognized,
background of
and I am
Mr.
giving you
Lampke's
a clear warning that if you continue to interrupt the speaker, you'll be asked to leave.
Mr. Alston was present at that hearing and presented evidence, or at least a statement, through his attorney. Following the hearing, Mr. Lampke produced a report pursuant to Chapter 31, Section 41, which has been distributed to the board. That report, 22 pages with 120 or more pages of attachments, including a lengthy psychological report and a lengthy course of correspondence between the town, Mr. Alston, and Mr. Alston's representative. The board.
Every bit of
has
that correspondence
asked
was
me-
after Mr. Alston filed a lawsuit.
I'm
Every
asking
bit.
you not to disrupt this meeting?
The written decision was transmitted to the board pursuant to the statute. And before I summarize Mr. Lamke's findings and conclusions, it's important to note again what it is this board is called upon to do today. This is not a hearing. The evidence and the opportunity to present evidence was given to Mr. Alston at the hearing before Mr. Lamke. What this board is called upon to do under the statute is to act as the appointing authority. The statute contemplates that an appointing authority will receive and act upon a report, because typically appointing authority are an individual. For example, the superintendent of schools is the appointing authority under civil service for the school department. In those circumstances with an individual, there is no public proceeding because the appointing authority acts on his or her own behalf. Because the appointing authority in this case is a board, and a board may only act through a duly noticed meeting, you are assembled at this meeting to make a determination whether to accept and adopt Mr. Lamke's report recommendations and take action thereon.
Just like when you assembled and voted to promote.
You're not recognized,
You know
Mr.
exactly
Ames.
what you're doing.
I'm going to ask you to leave if you can't restrain yourself.
If you ask him to leave, I'm leaving.
And that is your right
But we'll
to.
all stay.
For the convenience of the board, I'll summarize Mr.
We'd
Lamke's
like to hear
report.
really the discussion of the board before it
No.
makes a decision.
You're out of order,
Blah,
Mrs.
blah,
Ames.
blah, blah, blah.
I'm going to ask you to leave. One more outburst, and I'm asking you to leave, please.
Mr. Chairman, I think we should just let her dig her own grave, and we can hear Mr. Hillman, and Mr. Hillman can just continue talking, and she can make a fool of herself if she wishes.
Make a fool of herself? No, not making a fool of
Mr.
herself.
Hillman, please.
I'm content to push on further. So, Mr. Lamke's findings in summary. In 2010, Mr. Alston became a firefighter in the town of Brookline. In 2002, he became a firefighter in the town of Brookline, and his performance during the early years of his employment were fine.
With an unblemished record.
In 2010, Mr. Alston complained that a racial epithet had been left on his voicemail by a superior. Following his complaint, the superior officer was disciplined. The superior officer was subsequently promoted. Mr. Alston objected to the level of discipline, and he objected to the promotion. Following his objection to the treatment of the superior officer, the hearing officer found that Mr. Alston began a pattern of absences from work, various violent outbursts at work, making statements that caused co-workers to be concerned about his engaging in violence at work. The hearing officer found that Mr. Alston came under the care of various doctors. For details of Mr. Alston's medical and psychological history, the hearing officer relied upon a 50-page report by Dr. Marilyn Price of Mass General that is in the record, and the hearing officer expressly directs in his report that the board refer to Dr. Price's report for details relating to his psychological condition and his treatment. Mr. Lamke reports that he found that Mr. Alston was both compliant and at times not compliant with seeing his medical providers and following their advice. In December 2013, there was an incident in which Mr. Alston reported that he found the word "leave" written in the dust on the door which he used on his assigned fire truck. Following this incident, which Mr. Alston reported, he made certain statements expressing hostility, including statements that Mr. Lamke found could reasonably be perceived as threatening to the safety of his co-workers and the town. Mr. Alston has not reported to work since December 2013. Mr. Alston underwent a fitness for duty examination by a psychiatrist, Dr. Brown, in March of 2014. Dr. Brown reported him unfit for duty due to an inability to control his outbursts and rage. The hearing officer found that Mr. Alston continued to see Dr. Brown through February of 2015. In February of 2015, the town scheduled a further fitness for duty examination with Dr. Brown. At that time, Mr. Alston objected to Dr. Brown as his examiner. In response to his objection, the town accommodated his request for a different examiner, and he agreed to see Dr. Price. He met with Dr. Price in February of 2015. By a report in March 2015, which is in the record before you, Dr. Price found that Mr. Alston would be fit to return for duty with 3 conditions: that he had ongoing treatment with a psychiatrist and therapist; second, that workplace modifications would be made to deal with his feelings, including the provision of a workplace monitor to which he could bring his concerns; and third, random toxin screenings for 2 years to address drug use. Chief Ford received this report on March 25th, 2015. Following the receipt of that report, the hearing officer made a series of findings concerning the interaction between Mr. Alston and his counsel and the fire department and town council regarding the potential for Mr. Alston to return to work as a firefighter in Brookline. In April 2015, in March 2015, Chief Ford scheduled a meeting with Mr. Alston for April 2nd to discuss the report and his return to work. Mr. Alston did not attend. In April, June, and July 2015, the hearing officer found that town council had contacted Mr. Alston to discuss the conditions in the Price report and his potential return to work. He did not respond to those inquiries. On February 5th, 2016, town council wrote to Mr. Alston's counsel and requested, counsel regarding the Price recommendations and Mr. Alston's potential return to work. That's Exhibit T3 in your packet. The hearing officer noted that the February 5th communication specifically proposed dates for a meeting with Chief Ford and to schedule a further fitness for duty examination and tox screen. The hearing officer found that neither Mr. Alston nor his attorney ever responded to that communication. By letter dated February 29, 2016, the town granted Mr. Alston's request to be placed on sick leave. That's Exhibit T4. In May of 2016, Mr. Alston contacted the town and asked if he could engage in outside employment. While he could not do so while being on sick leave with the town responded through town council, stating that the town was encouraged to hear that Mr. Alston had the capacity to work and invited him to meet with the acting chief for the purpose of arranging for a return to work. That meeting did not take place. The chief wrote to Mr. Alston suggesting a meeting on May 18th. Mr. Alston did not attend that meeting. The meeting was rescheduled. Mr. Alston did not attend the rescheduled meeting. Acting Chief Ward scheduled a meeting with Mr. Alston on June 1st, 2016 to discuss the potential for his return to work. That meeting was rescheduled to June 8th. The hearing officer found that Mr. Alston told Chief Ward that his attorney possessed a psychiatric report confirming his fitness for duty. Town council contacted Mr. Alston's attorney and requested a copy of the report. The report was not provided, nor was the letter responded to. The hearing officer found, based on all of the foregoing, that the town had adopted a reasonable belief that Mr. Alston had some work capacity, and by letter of July 21st, 2016, affirmatively scheduled a fitness for duty examination for Mr. Alston for August 12th. Mr. Alston did not appear for the scheduled fitness for duty examination, and according to the hearing officer's findings, did not advise the town that he would not do so. The hearing officer found that Mr. Alston failed to provide any medical documentation as to his capacity or his lack of capacity to return to work and perform the essential function of his positions with or without accommodation. The hearing officer found that the town gave Mr. Alston notice of the hearing to determine if just cause existed to decide if he was incapable of returning to work. The hearing officer concluded that Mr. Alston engaged in a course of conduct by his behavior and his compliance and non-compliance with the recommendation of healthcare providers that legitimately called into question his capacity to perform his duties as a firefighter. The hearing officer found that the soundness of Dr. Price's findings and recommendations had not been called into any meaningful question by Mr. Alston. The hearing officer found that the town made numerous efforts to engage Mr. Alston in interactive dialogue to explore his return to work with or without reasonable accommodations and work modifications. The hearing officer found that Mr. Alston has, without justification, refused to participate in the interactive process requested by the town. The hearing officer further found that by failing to participate in interactive dialogue with the town concerning his return to work, Mr. Alston has put the town in a position of holding a place for him in the fire department with no reasonable expectation of a date for his return to work. By failing to participate in interactive dialogue or to return to work, or to produce evidence why he cannot return to work, the hearing officer found that Mr. Alston failed to show that he has the capacity to return to work. Based on that evidence, the hearing officer concluded that Mr. Alston does not have the capacity to return to work, and therefore the hearing officer concluded that the appointing authority would have just cause, where just cause exists for Mr. Alston to be terminated from his position on the basis of incapacity. The hearing officer made further findings in pages 18 through 21 of his report. He notes that the correspondence from town council to Mr. Alston and his attorney show a genuine concern for Alston and a sincere effort to resolve his employment situation by having an interactive dialogue with him regarding his capacity to return to work and steps the town could take to facilitate that return. The hearing officer found that it was incumbent on Mr. Alston to cooperate in that effort, and that he did not cooperate in that interactive process without justification. The hearing officer concluded that either Mr. Alston does not have information which would demonstrate that he has the capacity to return to work, or he has information which he wishes not to share with the town. Accordingly, the conclusion of the hearing officer in the findings and the recommendation before your board to adopt in this meeting is that based on the findings of fact that just cause exists under Chapter 31, Section 41 to terminate Mr. Alston's employment as a firefighter with the town of Brookline on the basis of incapacity. That is the order of business for this meeting. I understand that under the open meeting law, Mr. Alston should at this point, before you entertain a motion and deliberate on that motion, would have the opportunity to speak to the board on his own behalf. Is there any questions before I step down, Mr. Krasinski? Anything further?
No, I don't think so. Thank you, Mr. Holman.
Thank you.
Mr. Alston, would you like an opportunity to speak?
Well, yes, I do.
Please step up to the microphone.
Before I say what I have to say, I got a question for all. Why am I even here? That garbage? Let's be realistic. I didn't just leave. I was asked by my chief to leave. Not to mention, you guys know what's going on. What's sad about this whole thing? You smiling? It's not a joke. Not at all. Okay? See, I've been dealing with this all my life. All my life. And y'all not gonna shake, none of you up there. Think about this, okay? If you had the opportunity to trade places with me for a year, you know what your answer would be?
Hell no.
No. Because you know what's going on. You know. All of you. Especially you. And I'm gonna come back to you later. It's not a joke, man. Not at all. See, I came to y'all in confidence. The if any of y'all was around when the first letter went out, you would have known that I said keep it in the house, not to bring this kind of attention here. You would have known that I didn't want any problems. Although that individual's ideals and the way he thinks is his, they're his. Should have never laid it on me, they're his. Regardless of that, it's a damn good firefighter. But I wanted you guys to discipline in a way that no one else would follow behind him. And if anybody thought about it, it wouldn't cross their mind. But you guys took it as a joke. I thought it was okay. Swept it under the rug. Then when I saw about the promotion, you actually said to me, it's not a promotion. What, you think I'm stupid? Nah. Think I'm believing my lying eyes? Come on, people. I'm a man just like y'all are. I don't know what you are, because you're laughing and you're smiling. At some point in your life, you're going to find yourself in my position. It may not be the same, but you're going to find yourself in my position, and you're going to wish that somebody listened. Trust me, it happens. You don't have a silver spoon or a wishing well so you can wish this stuff away. It happens. It's reality. None of you up there realize what it's like growing up as a black man, period. My anger that I had in the beginning was because my mother always told me you can't be mad at a person who doesn't know. And all I kept saying was they know. That's where my anger came from. And I messed myself up by not even listening to myself when I talk to my kids. I tell them all the time, never, ever let anyone dictate your attitude, because if you do, you're no longer yourself, you're them. I became y'all. Evil, unappreciative, disrespectful, non-human. Now, am I being mean? No. I'm telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Sorry. And you've been there, man. Don't act like you haven't. I'm not going to sit here and preach to you. But when time comes and that little shoe falls, I'm going to be there for you. Because that's what we do. So you need to think about it. Just like all of y'all need to think about it. And right now, I realize you already made up your mind. You already did it. That's okay. It's quite all right with me. You know why? I'm comfortable in my skin. Very comfortable in my skin. See, I didn't wake up this morning. I didn't wake up this morning at all because I didn't sleep. Didn't sleep. And I realized my mother was telling the truth when she said you can't be mad at people who don't know. You know why? Because never in your lifetime will you understand what it is to be a black man out here. Never. Never. You'll never understand the rules and regulations we teach ourselves as black men out here. You do. Because I know there's been times you got on an elevator and the white woman has clutched her purse so tight that you can see her knuckles turning white. You have. And if you tell me you haven't, you're lying to yourself. Don't lie to yourself, man. Don't. See, I believe that at least one of y'all up here, not you, because you've been there, but one of you guys up here believe that what's going on right now is not right. I believe that. Step up. I'm not begging. I refuse to beg. It's not going to happen. I'll dig ditches if I have to. I'll wash toilets if I have to. That's what my dad taught me to take care of my family. This craziness up here? Come on, people. Really? Should I think that y'all are human? Computers? Aliens? I'm gonna always look at you guys as human beings. Regardless of what you're doing right now. It's not gonna change me. It's just not. My mother's right. and will ever get it. You know, a while ago in the beginning, I was sad, I was angry, I was depressed. See this? These people, the supporters, not to mention the ones on the web, changed everything. Everything. See, right now, you guys gonna see people, you're gonna see somebody that you wish you didn't see. Trust me. It's not a threat, it's a promise. Because the next chapter in this craziness, the legal way I'm coming after you, all of you, I guarantee you, you've never seen it before in your life. Never. I haven't been to law school. My brother, but you have. And I'm gonna take my time and make sure I understand what I'm doing when I come after you. Sorry. Forgive me for sounding mad. I'm not mad, I'm passionate. I'm not an evil black man.